To all. Anil sir, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. A very good morning to all. I welcome all in this interactive chat session in mental health and well-being. Mental health is a significant aspect to give our body the best health care. Keeping our mental health strong is the first and foremost precaution to deal with day-to-day stresses of life and to take decisions with positive mindset. We all live in a world with so much going around, same as health, physical health. Mental health is also very, very important and one of the key aspects to lead a successful life. Realizing the importance of mental health in today's scenario, we have organized this interactive session as a part of our corporate structural training program. The session is aimed at providing the participants the platform to interact with the subject experts. I'm really honored to have Ms. Mansi Dolakia and Ms. Priya Sitaraman with us today to address the students on this very important topic. I take this pleasure to introduce our guest speakers for the day. Ms. Mansi Dolakia is a global mental health ambassador, UN Nations speaker, an emotional intelligence coach, and an author too. She is the CEO of Global Mental Health Association USA, that is GMHA. It is a non-profit organization aimed at bringing a mental health revolution by raising awareness around the world and bringing an education revolution by integrating emotional intelligence values into the core curriculum of the various systems around the world. She is also an advisor on board with Change Health UK and with EQ for Peace USA. She has also been invited to speak as an esteemed speaker at UN Convention. We are also fortunate to have Ms. Priya Sitaraman with us today. She is GMHA's psychologist. On behalf of Jagran Institute of Management, I extend a very warm welcome to Ms. Mansi Dolakia and Ms. Priya Sitaraman. Without taking much of your time, I invite Ms. Dolakia to take over the stage. Ma'am, please proceed ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes,
very good morning to all of you present here today, and thank you, Jagran Late, for inviting me to this beautiful platform. And I would love, interacting with students here. Our main goal is to bring emotional intelligence and raise awareness around mental health, especially in the universities and schools, because I believe that is where, we learn all of our values from. And that is something, the platforms that these universities provide, it's lifelong learning that a student takes from here. So I believe that this is the exact right platform to bring about an education revolution, which the task which is so huge that we have taken upon us. But I'm proud and happy to say that in just these past 4 months, we have addressed more than 15,000 students across the country and, given value and provided value to everybody. So yeah, I mean, without further delay, I would just like to begin the session, and thank you once again for having us both here. I would like to start with giving a little bit of awareness around what emotional intelligence is. So I would like to do a short presentation, and then we would dive into the live question and answers with all of you. In the meanwhile, also, when I'm doing the presentation, if you have any questions surrounding that, please feel free to use the chat box, and you can put the questions in the chat box as well. So thank you very much. Ma'am, with your permission, I would like to share some of my slides, please.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Right. So, Priya, are the slides visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So today we're going to learn a little bit about emotional intelligence for, your well-being. Now, I would like to start with, why do I want to teach you about understanding your emotions? Why are emotions important? So emotional setbacks are the hardest to move on from. I mean, if you get physically, if you are injured, or if you get a scratch on your hand, or if you have fever, there are medicines for all of those things. I mean, a scratch on your hand or a burn on your hand, you know, it's going to heal in a few days time. But with an emotional setback, if you have felt bad about something, and if you're really sensitive in nature, it takes a long time to forgive and forget. So that is the reason why we need to learn and understand about how to control and manage our emotions. It's very important. So a lot of us feel that we cannot control our emotions. You know, for example, anger, sadness. There are so many emotions that we cannot control. We cannot, we don't have the power to control them. That is how we feel, but we actually do. And that is the reason why I want to teach you about emotional intelligence. It is all about understanding, controlling, and managing your emotions. I think emotional intelligence empowers you in a different kind of manner. So this is our emotional wheel, which I want to do a little small exercise with you today about. You know, usually whenever people come to us or talk to us, when I ask somebody, how are you feeling today? The usual answers that we would hear is the inner circle of emotions, which is either they say, I'm happy, or I'm sad, or I'm angry, or, you know, I'm just feeling doubtful, fearful today. But if you come to the outer circle, the second circle, for example, if I say I'm happy, why? Maybe because I'm feeling peaceful today. I'm completely at peace. That is the reason I'm happy. Or if you come to the outermost circle from there, then if you see, you know, emotions like creative, loving, thankful, sensitive, hopeful. So I can say that I'm feeling happy because I'm feeling peaceful, because I'm feeling inspired today to be amongst all of you. So you see, the exact pinpointed emotion here would be inspired. So in a similar way, I would encourage you to do this small exercise, take 30 seconds out and use the chat box and write the exact emotion that you are feeling. Not just that I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm angry, but, you know, the outer emotions. Try and learn and use all of these words. You know, your emotional dictionary has to be identified in different manner. You know, you have to learn how to exactly tell what you are feeling, because the first step is identifying the right emotion. So let's try this a little bit. Using your chat box, just write the exact emotion you are feeling today at this point in time, in this current moment that, you know, you are all gathered here today. I'll just pause for 30 seconds, give you the time so that you can use the chat box and write down the emotion there, that what are you feeling today? If you're feeling angry, then why are you angry? Maybe because you're frustrated, maybe because you're annoyed. So try to learn how to identify the emotion. So while you try and write that, let me explain to you what emotional intelligence is. So emotional intelligence is the ability to identify your own emotion, which I was just teaching you, the first step. The next step is to manage your emotion, how to learn how to manage your emotion, how to control your emotion, and how to perceive the emotion of people around you. So the first step starts with your own self. The second step moves on to the people around you. There are 5 characteristics of emotional intelligence. It's self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, what are these 5 steps? I'll just explain in brief. So the first step is self-awareness, which is the ability to see yourself clearly, to learn about yourself more. Self-regulation, the second step, is about regulating your feelings and managing your feelings so that they do more good than harm. See, when we are overly emotional, we, tend to blow things out of proportion. For example, anger is such a strong emotion that whether we are angry because we are frustrated, or whether we are frightened, or whether we are fearful, or, there are so many responses which surround the anger. So you don't know until you self-reflect into yourself, why am I feeling this anger, right? So self-regulation is about managing those feelings. It's about regulating that anger. Self-motivation is about visualizing the achievement of a goal. You have your own set of goals, and you have your ways how to reach your goals. So self-motivation includes our personal drive towards those goals. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Empathy will teach you how to walk in other person's shoes so that you get a better understanding of the people surrounding you. Social skills is the final one, which is the ability to interact, with each other. Communication skills, active listening skills, all of these skills come under social skills. So these are the 5 components. Now, what are your common work and life stressors? Right now, if you feel that you are stressed, what is the most common reason why people are stressed? For example, if I talk about me, I get stressed because, I am very bad, for example, at prioritizing, failing to prioritize. So if I think at the same time that I have multiple 10 tasks to do, but I cannot learn how to prioritize them, then that stresses me out, because I don't know that whether in this point in time, I should do one thing or I should do 2 things, or I am supposed to do all 10 things together. So I think lack of clarity, indecisiveness, inability to cope with change. These are some of the common work and life stressors that we all go through. So what are your common, stresses? What do you experience in your everyday life that stresses you out? That also you can use the chat box and write it there. Now, see, there is a transitional phase right now when you are learning in your university. So emotional intelligence armors you with tools and techniques, the common life stressors that I described. EI will teach you about these tools and techniques, how to use these tools and how to, gel into the life patterns. Your university arms you with the technical skill set which is required to progress in your career, but the gap still exists in the society where there are where it comes to communication and leadership skills. No one teaches us how to deal with rejection and failure, or how to rise after we fall, or how to deal with a bad day at work. So if we have an exam, how to prioritize with multiple things we are dealing with, or if we are going through a bad relationship phase, how to keep our emotions in check so as not to affect our work life or student life. So aren't all these skills important as your technical skill set? I mean, these are all the things which there exists a gap. The university doesn't teach you about, all of these other skills. That is where emotional intelligence comes into picture. So this is the reason why we have been addressing to so many students in schools and universities, trying to teach them, trying to fill this gap, that if you're going through a bad phase, how to recover from it, how to self motivate yourself, how to deal with all the negativity around you and still be positive and do something productive with your life. That is what EI is all about. Communication skills are very, very important in emotional intelligence. They play a huge role. Good communication skills are active listening, setting boundaries, learning when to be quiet, learning how to deal with people in difficult situations. So for example, if you're a likable person in general, everybody, surrounding you likes you a lot. But when you go out into the real world, and if you have to fire someone in your life, how would you feel about that? The first time maybe that you fire someone, it'll be very hard for you. This is the case which happened with me. I'm very sensitive by nature. And, I spent 14 years in London. And while I was there in my entire career, I mean, the first time that I had to fire someone, I couldn't eat or sleep for 3 to 4 days because I felt that, oh my God, I'm responsible. What is that person going to do now? Or, what are the things that will happen in their lives? So being overly sensitive also has its positives as well as negatives. So this is one of the negatives that we learn how to deal with it, because it is part and parcel of life, right? So these are some of the things where emotional intelligence comes into picture. AI teaches you to self-reflect upon your actions, which in turn will help you become a great leader. So I'm not going to go into empathetic leadership because we have limited time today, and I want to take as many questions and answers as we can so that we can actually address the real issues, that you guys have here today. Closing notes, I'm just going to say a few things here. IQ has always played a huge part in our lives, for a very long time. But now the future is about EQ. If your EQ is lacking, then there is a chance, despite having good technical knowledge, the company will rather prefer having someone with high EQ and low IQ. That is the huge culture shift. That's the paradigm shift that we are dealing with in these times, especially post the pandemic. We are into such times where EQ has become extremely important. That is the huge culture shift and transformation that each university and qualifying student has to understand. So, previously, in the previous days, before the pandemic times, there used to be IQ tests in the corporate sector. now these days, there are EQ tests, there are personality tests, there are tests that, you know, whether you will become a good team player or not. And all of these skills are taught by emotional intelligence. This is the reason why we have been, you know, trying to push emotional intelligence as part of university curriculums, because it's very, very important that a student, along with the technical knowledge and skills, also learns how to become a good person, how to gel with people, how to polish their communication skills. All of these skills are extremely important. It is your emotional intelligence that will help you achieve your goals and attain greater levels of success. Developing EI can greatly influence our success by contributing to increased morale, motivation, and greater cooperation. So this is the reason why emotional intelligence is extremely important. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. This is a quote by Maya Angelou, and I absolutely love this quote. It's a great takeaway because, you know, because of what it says. I mean, it's easy to understand. So I'm going to stop the slideshow here, and I will be happy, myself and Priya, to take some questions forward. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The presentation was really very insightful and informative. It was like something that we already know, but was put in such a productive and different perspective that is really necessary. I think my students will definitely going to love this session. And I am feeling curious today to know more about this session. Okay, I would now like to invite our director, Dr. Divya Chaudhary, to take this session further from here.
Thank you so much, Anu ma'am. And first of all, I would heartily like to welcome Mansi madam and Priya madam to this invitation and to this forum that you have so humbly accepted a request and precisely given what needs to be delivered to the student right now. And that wheel of how you are feeling today was actually very awesome, beautiful, and I'm feeling so excited to further hear all your suggestions. And very precisely, you said one thing which I just picked up while hearing you, that we do teach a lot of technical skills to students via communication also and via other required skills related to technology and things. But very true, we are unable to focus on that EQ level, though indirectly somewhere in communication, looking around the pandemic and uncertain situations, we are trying to help students as much as possible. But very well in precise words, Mansi madam, you have put in those beautiful words. And without taking much time, I can see there are questions coming up in my chat box. So can we start with it? Priya ma'am,
Yeah,
I think
sure.
yes. The same. I
Yeah.
can see, you can also see, I have a question.
Yeah,
From,
I see a lot of.
yeah, because this is such a subject, I think, very close to everybody's heart, you know. Let's see, check out, I have a question from a student, Varun, coming. I just saw, he's asking how to stay calm and productive and avoid getting depressed for a future career and like due to pandemic, something what we were talking right now.
Yeah, so this is what, so this is what I was just speaking about. Priya, I'll take this one.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
you know, it's very difficult in these times that we are in, and maximum student interactions that we have done. This is the most common question, that how do we stay productive? How can we avoid staying depressed? And, you know, because there are so much uncertainty surrounding the life right now. You don't know when your exams are going to be. You are not in the mood to sit in front of a screen entire day listening to lectures. And I know everything has been very difficult, you know. But what is life if life is full of certainty? You know, life is always about uncertainties, and it is that is the reason why I got into this field. I mean, emotional intelligence teaches you actually how to be resilient and how to deal with uncertainties in life. You know, how to deal with difficult situations. For example, two examples I'd like to give. One about an emotionally intelligent person, one about a non-emotionally intelligent person. So the difference between the two will actually give you a more insight into how to deal with this. A person who is highly emotionally intelligent will be resilient to changes, will be able to understand कि अच्छा आज मेरे हिसाब से चीजें नहीं हो रही है, तो I have to shift my mindset into the direction where I can become productive, right? And a non-emotionally intelligent person will just become depressed, will think that okay, things are not aligned, things are not going my way, so that means there is no way. It's not rather my way or the highway sort of philosophy that can work in real life, right? In real life we need to have a mindset which can adapt to change, a mindset which takes, you know, self responsibility. I think self responsibility is such an important factor in student life especially. 6 principles of self responsibility I would like to share with you here. First is that, you know, instead of criticizing others, you be quiet. How to become more self responsible, that is the first step towards learning how to deal with situations in life. The more you become self responsible, the more you think about yourself rather than pointing outside into the world or blaming anything out onto the world, blaming the pandemic for you not being able to be productive, for example. That is the most common thing that we all do. It is not just students. I mean, you know, even if I am sometimes feeling down, I blame the pandemic that I cannot go out anywhere and it is just, you know, not making me productive enough. That is the most common thing that happens to all of us. So I think instead of that mindset or mentality, we need to have that mentality where we can see inside of us, reflect inside of us, that what I can do. Instead of complaining, you make a suggestion to yourself, right? You are talking to yourself. So make a suggestion to yourself. Okay, ye nahi kar pa rahi hu, ye nahi ho pa raha hai, what else I can do, right? So that is a way of taking self-responsibility. Third thing is, instead of looking for a culprit, so we are blaming the pandemic, we need to find a solution. Instead of blaming somebody else or something else, we need to find a solution within ourselves. Again, self-reflection, right? This is the second component of emotional intelligence, which is coming into picture here. Instead of playing the victim card, which again we do very easily because it's easy to blame others rather than blaming ourselves. So instead of playing the victim card, we strive to become a winner, have the winning mindset, right? First thing in that is read good things on social media. Social media is a fantastic tool for learning, but then it is also a fantastic negative tool if all you are looking about all day is negative news or negativity or how people are complaining or how many people are dying. You know, there are so many things out there in the world. So instead of justifying your mistakes, you learn from them. For example, if you're not that productive today, so instead of tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, at the end of the day, today you make your to-do list for tomorrow. That I couldn't do these things today. Okay, tomorrow I'll be more productive. Tomorrow, you know, I will push myself. What is self-motivation? Self-motivation is all about pushing yourself to, you know, go beyond your boundaries. Last thing is, instead of judging others, you judge your own attitude. I think it's very important that instead of trying to see that, you know, what your peers are doing, what the other students are doing, how everybody is passing their day, कितने लोगों ने Netflix पे कितनी series देख ली या कितने लोगों ने किस पे क्या किया, instead of doing all of that, you think तुमको life में क्या करना है, what you want to do in your own life. You know, that is the only way. You should know your why. You should know your core values. अगर आप लोग आज ये course पढ़ रहे हो तो क्यों पढ़ रहे हो? Why are you studying today? If you know that कि मुझको ये बनना है, इसीलिए मैं ये कर रहा हूँ या इसीलिए मैं ये कर रही हूँ, that will bring you on your path automatically. It will become easier for you to move ahead then. So these are the few things, few principles of self-responsibility. If you learn them, I think you will become productive overnight. आपको automatic motivation आएगा कि मुझको कुछ करना है. You know, and there are so many things that you can do these days. The questions are coming, so I'm going to stop here. Next one, Divya ma'am.
Very prominently answered. And I think your answer gives, it answers many questions I can see in the chat box also directly or indirectly, because that is very true. And I think initially we all suggested our workplace also to stay as much as possible away from negative information, news, surroundings, people talking, gossiping, informal information. I think that will certainly help maintaining a balance, emotional quotient what you are talking about. So I should not speak my heart out, and let's take up another question from here. I think, Priya ma'am, if you wish, you can select the question on your own also.
Yeah, that might be better, Priya. You can pick a
Yes.
question and answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Jagran team, for having us over. And it's always a pleasure to interact with the young generation, the youthful minds of our future generation. So we can look at the repetitive pattern of questions maybe at the end if we have the time left. So I'll pick up the ones as you said. More precisely, okay. I'll go to, there is one question from the student. How could depression and anxiety be screened among young people? Do you think exposure to the digital world is contributing to mental illness among youngsters? Yeah, it's a very thought-provoking question, I would say. It's a good one. So let's understand basically about as Mansi also said about the digital media or the social media, how well we have the prawns. Too much of anything, too much of all of these things always has a negative effect as well. Negative impact on our physical health or the mental health. That's the reason we talk about too much of addiction to screen in the young children, the school-going children. They become really very aggressive. So it is very important for us to understand how well, the limitation of the screen time is very, very important. So coming to the core of this question, depression and anxiety. Anxiety is in a professional term, or let me put it more from the psychological point of view. Anxiety is your reaction to stress. How well stress is what? It's a threat that throws upon us. It's a threat, is a threat response to any kind of the challenging situation that we encounter in everyday life. It could be day-to-day stress. Even there are positive and negative stress. Overwhelming responses whenever we feel like we want to do a presentation or we have an exam. So these are some kind of yeah, even young minds, even adults at this age, we feel to exhibit and manifest in different ways, like physically. It also sometimes give us some kind of physical symptoms, as it could be the heart palpitations, the racing heartbeat, or you're sweating profusely, or these are some kind of physical symptoms one will have to face when you are posed with a threat like response. Anxiety is a reaction to stress, how well you react to that particular the stressful or the threat situation. So that's why you feel anxious. When we say one person is, excuse me, when we say one person is feeling anxious, you become more nervous. You're not able to think actively, proactively, or even productively. Your thinking process ends there. So that is kind of, having raising heartbeat. You're pushing into those kind of anxiety disorders. When we talk about anxiety disorders, it's basically a response to how well one person is trained or not trained in dealing with that stressful situation. So when it comes to depression, depression is the when a person, not only the youngsters. Let's talk in general about depression, how to identify depression. uh, there are few of these symptoms, like two or more of these when it is present consistently over a period of 2 weeks or so, then one person have to either you notice in yourself or in your loved ones, your near dear ones, your friends, your colleagues. It could be anyone, your family members. So you've come to understand that there is something wrong with that person or within me, that sleeplessness, over appetite, lack of appetite, or even eating disorders. When you're feeling depressed, or you end up eating more, you become these are the symptoms. We're not talking about one particular incident related, or okay, when I faced let's talk from the youngster's point of view. I failed an exam, or I couldn't clear through or the crack the exam, or any interview. So you feel kind of एक और चीज है आजकल, this the terminology in itself has become so much popular, and also with the, it comes also with the negative notion as well, having to not understand completely. We call to ourselves like so I'm feeling depressed. Do you actually understand the meaning of what exactly depression is, or the depressive disorder, what it has to say to you? Just because even I deal with clients who come and say, I have ADHD, I have a, okay, who told you that? Google. So you go and type in the system, this is what has really happened. I mean, a matured, very intellectual, successful person, even they go on to, you have to really come to understand what is exactly happening with you. That's where the emotional intelligence, as we're talking about here, plays a very crucial thing. When you don't understand your emotions clearly, when you don't have that self-awareness, then you end up seeing half knowledge. Then you end up going into searching Google, and you self-diagnose. That itself is very clearly wrong. So as a therapist, as a psychologist, we create so much awareness about first myth को bust करना है हमको. So busting myths is very, very important, because that also it's going to lead either you or your family member, or it's going to be even more stressful situation for them. It's also acting a stressor. So the symptoms actually is over a period of 2 weeks or so, if it persists without any reason, because you having to have that, non-interacting with anyone. You're detaching yourself from the social life, even your everyday daily routine, your mundane chores, that becomes very, very challenging. You're not able to even get up from the bed. And as I said, sleeplessness or oversleeping. And when it exists in you, or when you see it in others, no interest in anything. Maybe, for example, when I say no interest, you are a very active person earlier. Okay, pre-depression and the post-depression, what you have to look at it and identify is, I'm always a very bubbly and cheerful and an energetic person. So when I see a sudden change, the transition into having to do nothing at all, I don't want to even talk to my friends or the family, and I end up eating more. These are few of the symptoms when you feel you're not able to sleep, or a couple of more symptoms. When it actually present together for more than 2 weeks time, that's when you seek help. Not necessarily you end up visiting a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You could also consult a primary care caregiving physician, or your family doctor, or a pediatrician, whatever comes your way. Just talk to them. They will do the initial clinical screening, because many a times the depression symptoms also gets met by other physical challenges that you have. The physical illness also causes that depressive disorder, and probably the mood disorder. So actually the how will you identify and how to go and when to seek support is very, very important in the very first initial stages. Probably you're not dealing with depression, but you end up having this half-filled knowledge, and end up seeing, taking your antidepressants, or for that matter, or even mood stabilizers. All these are going to cause more harm than good. So my sincere recommendation and the suggestion to please be more aware of what is actually bothering you. You come to understand your emotions, as Mansi is talking about the emotional intelligence, then you actually understand better. And of course, there are therapies. Depression does not also, it's like it cannot be cured. Of course, it can be cured among the youngsters. Even if you see all of these, if you find to understand, okay, talk to a therapist. talk to a counselor. You can take some talk therapy or the psychotherapy sessions, counseling sessions from them, or even some. You will require medication only when you encounter, when your screening is done, and also they diagnose you with the actual mental disorder or the mental illness from the clinical perspective. Only then they will give you, if the disorder in itself is very severe, only then the medical intervention is required. Otherwise, talk therapy or any kind of psychotherapy or counseling sessions, one will get benefited. If you adhere to the things what they teach you, you got to work hand in hand. You have to, it's not completely what they say. I've also come across these, when they come to a psychologist or a counselor, they see, okay, everything is upon you. You have to make me all right. No, I can't do that. So it's like more of you're going to allopathy doctor. I'm giving you medicines. You're the one who's going to take the medicines, follow the routine. If you're skipping any medicine, then don't put the blame on the allopathy doctor. It's the same rule applies here, that I keep telling my clients when they come for even online or phone counseling. First, I want to take your commitment. Okay, you got to be patient. It's not overnight magic. And secondly, it's about give that commitment, because we are not dealing in person these days. It's very online and digital. So I need to take that consent. You got to be committed. I'm going only the facilitator. I'm only the guide here, taking you through the process. It is upon you, because I will be telling them, okay, these are the things that you have to follow. Do the journaling and other stuff, and do these exercises. If you're not doing it, nobody can help you. So that drive has to come, and it goes hand in hand. So we have to work together. Sometimes we do individual counseling, or sometimes it's a group counseling or like a family counseling, because how to deal with this and support the person. So family counseling is also given to their parents or even siblings for that matter. So I think, digital world I've already answered. I think more of anything is very poisonous and harmful. So limit what you want, just take that, and focus only on the positive things. Use it as a tool, as she already mentioned, for your learning, for your upgrading your skills, or even for your professional or your personal growth. So, or some little bit of time pass here and there and chit chat. So that should be your, don't get too much involved in it. Of course, it has a very negative impact on minds, not only the youngsters, even in adulthood, adults as well. So I think,
yeah, amazing.
Certainly, Priya, I think I second, and in fact, everybody seconds every thought and every word you have said just now. And indeed, I also believe that your answer includes an overall experience of wellness in what we do, think, feel, in the current times, especially when we have so much of highs and lows in our life. Seems like I think everybody must have benefited by this answer. What is the next? Which is the next question you would like to take?
yeah.
I will step in here. So there are a few questions on together. So let me club that. Yeah. So how is IQ and EQ different? Which is more important for our mental wellness? Then there is, how can we build or enhance our EQ and IQ level? What is the best way to improve mental health? So these are some of the common questions. How do we build EQ in ourselves and grow them on daily basis? So these 3-4 questions I'll club into one answer. Everything comes back to, EQ and IQ. So a little bit of glimpse, which I gave you in the slides, that how IQ and EQ have evolved, over time. EQ especially has come into picture post the pandemic, even more so, because IQ was always there. We have heard about IQ tests and personality tests, and so many different kinds of tests surrounding to test our IQ skills. EQ skills have recently come into picture, and I'll tell you why. See, the main reason here why EQ has become overnight, why it has become so much more important, or it has gained more traction, The main reason being that people are not that resilient to deal with difficult people or difficult situations or complex ideas, you know, or innovation even. People are very, see, we are genetically defined to stay in our comfort zones. We love our comfort zones. We never want to get out of our comfort zones, right? We push ourselves. आपको सुबह उठ के क्या क्लास करना अच्छा लगता है? मुझे सुबह सुबह उठ के क्या किसी सेशन में बैठना अच्छा लगता है? It is not कि वो naturally आता है. You know, we push ourselves ki this is our passion, this is why we need to do it. It's like we are constantly training our minds. हम constantly अपने mind को train कर रहे हैं कि why are we doing these things in life, right? So like I said initially, everything begins with yourself. First thing you have to learn is how to motivate yourself, how to define yourself. Self-awareness, which is the first component of emotional intelligence. So, you know, self-awareness is all about self-love, self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-understanding, self-exploration, and self-worth. These are the few things which everything is surrounding your self. That is the first thing you have to understand. Point one. Second point I would like to say is, so self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly. अगर आप अपने गोल्स, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, क्या आप लाइफ में करना चाहते हो, ये सारी चीजें थोड़ी डिफाइंड रखोगे, you know, that will also help with your mental well-being. Do you know why? Because sometimes when we are so stressed throughout the day, हम क्यों एक दूसरे को बताते हैं, अरे प्रायोरिटाइज करना सीख लो थोड़ा. हमारे पेरेंट्स, मुझे याद है मेरे पेरेंट्स बचपन से मुझे बोलते थे, तुझे 10 चीजें करनी है, why don't you learn कि तुझे अभी पहली चीज कौन सी करनी है और तू बाद में कौन सी करेगी, right? Because we are so good at multitasking. I mean, we think we are the gods of multitasking. हम एक साथ यहाँ लेक्चर में बैठे हैं, हम फोन चला रहे होंगे, कोई अगर किसी के पास 2-3 लैपटॉप है तो वो 3 लैपटॉप चला रहा होगा. You know, I have come across corporate idiots also. It's not just students. I mean, corporate world में भी मैं कितने सारे लोगों से मिली हूँ जो जिनके पास अगर सुख सुविधाएं है, आपके पास पैसा है, आप 4 लैपटॉप खरीद सकते हो, पूरी उन्होंने डेस्क बना दी है, 4 लैपटॉप्स गोइंग एट द सेम टाइम, दे आर सिटिंग इन 5 Zoom मीटिंग्स टुगेदर. हाउ कैन यू इवन कॉन्सेंट्रेट ऑन वन? आप क्या कर रहे हो? You are just showing your presence out there to the world. Why? Because it is so competitive. अगर मैं नहीं बैठूंगा, मेरी जगह कोई और बैठ जाएगा, तो उसको वो डील मिल जाएगी, उसको वो इम्पोर्टेंस मिल जाएगा. It's become a rat race. No. How much ever I think if I sit and lecture here कि you are not a part of rat race, there will be so many of you जो मेरा गला पकड़ोगे कि मैम आप हमें गलत मत बताओ कि अगर हम rat race का हिस्सा मतलब नहीं बनेंगे तो हम पीछे रह जाएंगे. I'm telling you it's not like that, and I'm the prime example of that. You know, a little bit I would like to tell about myself here because it will be relatable to you in the future. आपको शायद वो देख के सीखने मिलेगा, समझ में आए. When I was so I did my graduation degree and everything from here in India, and then I went to the United Kingdom. I did my post graduation there. मैंने masters किया. And then I was into the corporate job structure there. I was a pharmacist by profession. Only recently then I got into psychology, the psychology part here. 14 years I gave to my pharmaceutical career there. I was working with the NHS, the National Health Service of United Kingdom. I've worked with various universities as well there. And during all those times, you know, there was a point in time where I was also a part of that rat race, where I was also trying to work 20 hours a day and not get enough sleep and everything. I went through very bad phase of anxiety and depression, almost 7-8 years in my life. And that is when I realized that it is time to stop and reflect. It is time to stop and try and see that what I want to achieve in life. What do I want to do in life? Right? So I think that self-reflection, that introspection, taking a pause, setting boundaries, all of these things are extremely important for your mental well-being. There are questions here. How do we look after our mental health? These are the answers to that. You have to stop, you have to pause, you have to self-reflect. देखो पैसा हम सबको कमाना है. पैसा कमाए बिना जिंदगी नहीं जी जा सकती. I understand that. I know that also. But कितना? How much is enough? That also you have to decide for your own, right? Everybody would love to become a millionaire overnight. Everybody would love to have an insightful idea. आप एमबीए अगर पढ़ रहे हो तो एमबीए में से अरे कौन सा वो डिफाइनिंग आइंस्टाइन मोमेंट आएगा जहां से मुझे वो आइडिया मिल जाए कि हाउ कैन आई बिकम एन ओवरनाइट बिलियनर. We all would love to do that, but you know, unfortunately that is not how it works, right? आप अगर इवन आप बिलियनर्स के एग्जांपल्स भी देखोगे, व्हेन पीपल, इतना छोटा सा बच्चा, मैम मेरे साथ बात कर रहा था कि मार्क जकरबर्ग कर सकता है, तो वो अपने पापा को बता रहा था कि आप कुछ क्यों नहीं करते हो जिंदगी में. See, this is the mindset, this is the mentality, this is the generation we are living in, matlab. So I think very important to self define. हर एक की ना इंडिविजुअलिटी और हर एक स्टूडेंट की स्ट्रेंथ और वीकनेस अलग होगी यहाँ पे. सो नॉट एवरीबडी, अगर आप एक दूसरे को देखते रहोगे कि ये तो 24 घंटे जाके एक दिन में पढ़ाई कर लेता है, एग्जाम दे देता है, अच्छे मार्क्स आ जाते हैं, मैं एक दिन में इतनी पढ़ाई कर ही नहीं सकता, मेरे तो कभी आते ही नहीं है, मतलब मैं पूरा अपना पूरा हफ्ता भी लगा देता हूँ, देन ऑल्सो आई कैन नॉट get the same numbers or get the same marks. So everybody's strength is going to be different. You need to learn and identify your strengths. And how can you do that? If you become more self-aware. आप ये बाकी सारा जो है ना चीज आपके surrounding, that is called noise. ठीक है? You learn to filter that noise and you learn how to introspect inside of you. Currently, so like ma'am previously said, I am the global mental health ambassador. I am the CEO and founder of GMHA, which is the company established in the United States. I am also the United Nations speaker. Recently, I've also been appointed as a SDG National Health Speaker for Niti Aayog as well. I'm also, so there are so many titles. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is none of these titles matter when I was going through really bad phases of anxiety and depression. ये टाइटल में से कोई भी टाइटल मेरे को काम में नहीं आया है. None of these titles, none of the degrees. I have been a visiting faculty. I was teaching at University of Oxford. I've done my psychology certifications from University of Cambridge. So I'm a very well qualified and well versed individual. Again, I repeat, none of these titles have mattered. None of them have helped me when I was going through difficult situations in my life. What helped me was my inner resilience. What helped me was I learned how to introspect. Unfortunately, मुझे इस तरह सिखाने वाला कोई नहीं था. I learned on my own. I learned how to come out of these situations on my own. And I think this is the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching these things to youngsters. क्योंकि आप कल जब आप ऐसी सिचुएशन में आओ, इस एटलीस्ट इस क्राउड में से कल कोई ऐसी सिचुएशन में आएगा, तो आपको पता चलेगा कि अच्छा एक मैम थी एंड शी डिड टॉक अबाउट ऑल दीज थिंग्स, एंड इफ शी कैन डू इट, शी केम आउट ऑफ दोस सिचुएशंस ऑन हर ओन. तो हमको तो सिखाया गया था, हमको पता है हमको क्या करना है. So this is the reason why we have, brought emotional intelligence into universities, and we are running workshops जिसमें हम सिखाते हैं. We practically teach you that if you are going through difficult situations, difficult times, हम आपको tools देते हैं, आपको क्या क्या करना चाहिए, step wise, how can you overcome all those things. So yeah, I think coming back to all these mentally fit or unfit questions, how do we know that we are mentally unfit, or how do you know if you are stressed? You will know. अगर आप खाना पीना बढ़ाओगे, कम करोगे, बातें करना कम करोगे, if you just come withdraw into your own shell, आपको पता चल जाएगा कि मेरे साथ कुछ गड़बड़ है, I'm not myself. और वो चीज सबसे ज्यादा हमें खुद को समझ में आती है. People around us will only notice few things, but the most we will notice those things in ourselves. So I think when you notice the imbalance, you need to introspect into your own self. And then अगर आपसे खुद से नहीं हो रहा है, तो आपको समझ में आना चाहिए कि ठीक है, मुझसे खुद से नहीं हो पा रहा है, so I need help. So if you need help, you talk to your friends, you talk to your peers, you talk to your parents, whoever you're comfortable with. That is your first step, right? तो आप communication line को open रखो. The one I think idea, or the one advice really I can give to all of you guys is keep your communication lines open. कितना भी आपको परेशानी हो रही हो, भले आप फोन उठा के ऐसा ही बोलो, अरे यार मेरा मूड नहीं आज बात करने का, मुझे बस अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. Say that, but say it. Don't just ignore your friends, or if somebody is ignoring you, if you are two best friends, और अगर आपको पता है कि मेरी बेस्ट फ्रेंड मुझसे सडनली बात नहीं कर रही है या इग्नोर कर रही है, कंसर्न होके आप थोड़ा कंसर्न दिखाओ, पूछो क्या बात है, क्या हो गया, एक्सेट्रा. I think communication is the best way that we all can help each other in these times right now. So I guess, ma'am, that has covered a few of those.
Certainly, certainly. I think many of the questions are answered with your composite answer, which you have given a very comprehensive answer. And, just as you said, out of your personal experiences, out of my personal experience, I would just like to add one thing, what you said, an introspection about yourself, understanding the environment, bouncing back from these setbacks, your emotional health, balancing it out of your setbacks and coming up, thriving again despite of having a lot of problems in your life. I would personally feel is your willpower also matters a lot. You should have a very strong willpower to make it a point that there is nothing impossible. Everything is possible. And if I really make up my mind that I have to come out of anxiety or depression through your, like you said, opening your communication means, talking to people, or maybe just reading, or maybe giving yourself some time of loneliness to introspect and come back, I think that also helps a lot. Indeed, yesterday only while reading about this session and all everything, I just read somewhere, I am not able to quote the exact source where I read, it said that in that every year, the productivity of people gets globally lost around US 1 trillion amount is lost in terms of productivity around the global economy just because of anxiety and depression, So that's a huge figure. Right.
I would like to add as probably a closing note or something. There are very, I think, couple of two important questions. I'll quickly answer them. Somebody is asking, is it okay to the habitual of having sleeping pills? It's a very, I'm very sorry to say, if you're having sleeplessness, what we've already talked about it, it is okay in the initial stage to get and stabilize it, but it is not okay to go habitual on that. I would sincerely advise you to refer to your primary caregiving doctor or your, without that, don't please go on. It's going to cause even more trouble physically and mentally, emotionally. So that's not really okay if you get into that habitual mode. But for a shorter period of 2-3 months is still okay to stabilize, but please work on natural ways to have that good sleep. Because what we are talking about here is stress, anxiety, depression. Somewhere it is all interconnected. See, depression, it's a end. What you say, having suicidal thoughts or even severely depressed, where it is starting from, we keep ignoring our day-to-day stress. We are always in that gripping line that we keep ignoring our body, and our body and mind is a very beautiful mechanism. It's complex though, but still it's a beautiful thing. It keeps giving us signs and alerts, signals that we keep ignoring them. So pay attention to your body, what it tells you, your mind also. If you're not feeling all right, just take a break. Someone asked me, is it okay to take a break? Yes, that loneliness, it's not a loneliness thing, it's your self-introspection, your self-awareness thing. You have to spend time on yourself. It is okay, detach for a time period that you rejuvenate yourself, you relax. There are n number of coping strategies. If you talk to a therapist or someone, exploring your hobbies or even meditation or breathing exercises, any kind of relaxation techniques helps us in the long run. So addressing stress at a very early stage on the onset of it, because chronic stress is what leads to depression ultimately. So that's very, very important. We keep ignoring and then we get into the trouble. So please pay attention what your mind and what your body is saying. That solves most of the problem. Of course, if you're not able to deal with yourself, as Mansi also said, go and seek help, any kind of professional help. That's very important.
Priya, I can see a question. Maybe we can answer in short due to the paucity of time. I just read Prasum has asked, how can I use distraction to manage difficult thoughts and feelings? Very common among youngsters these days.
See, distraction, sir, don't call it as a distraction. So if you're having difficult, it goes with a very known saying, life is always full of challenges. And it's only the 10% what happens to us. The 90%, it's a very common thing, but we tend to ignore that. 90% of what and how you react to it. So that 10% of chances, what the life-changing, the challenging, or the stress, or the threat, it could be any kind of, it varies from person to person. So I may call it as a non-stressor, but it may appear the same thing, it may appear as a stressor. So identify your stressor. The journaling definitely helps you around. It's a very, very important therapeutic tool. It is for you to self-reflect. It gives you more insights. So you keep jotting it down, what works well for you and what have you done throughout the day. So once you wake up in the morning, set up your intention. What is your intention for that day? So as you go, you working on that law of attraction, we call it as. So there are many laws as such, how you identify to relax yourself. There are many relaxation techniques. Go and enroll yourself to do all of these. So it really helps not only your physical state of mind and your mental state and the emotional well-being. It stays, when you learn to adapt it into your daily life. And of course, we know that it's all coming from your childhood. It is coming from your past trauma, because somewhere it is deeply sat in our unconscious mind. So whatever we are right now, either your personality is getting affected or you're not evolving further, where you find out the root cause, where it is coming from. Maybe my childhood, I went through a lot of abuse, or I went through a lot of trauma, and how it has been impacted by the environment, how the parenting has been done. So everything matters. So it keeps there, it's sitting on the unconscious mind. So as and when you encounter, so it tries to get surfaced on that thing. So you try to reprogram and change your mindset. Though only then you will, it starts from all of these techniques, what we have shared through presentation and Mansi's and even Madam's. So all these definitely will help you, and wish you all the very best for your emotional well-being. Of course, technically you will pass through, and this is it's an important life skill. So as we say, it's about social value, social communication, and we are going to, emotional intelligence also teaches you to be not giving up, standing for yourself. Okay, I'm facing a financial trouble. Maybe as you grow, you become an entrepreneur, you become a businessman or woman. What if a big thing hits you? So if you're going into a loss, how are you going to deal and stand up for yourself? You cannot just like that, okay, I give up, I'm not capable, and then I end up. That's what happened with CCD owner, right? So you give up at one point in time. So all of these starts with the, because we never had this opportunity, we learned it on our own, and then we come the hardest way. As I also have a story behind. So it all comes from the hardest of experience. What we are speaking here is most with the experience. So take it from us and then have a beautiful life. Work on your emotional intelligence. That's our closing note for the day. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Perfect.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
totally agree. Yes,
Ma'am,
Anna.
what I can gather from this conversation is that self-awareness and introspection is very, very important. I really agree that students use this word depression, ऐसे use कर लेते हैं. Every time I'm depressed, without realizing that what is actually the problem and what is the magnitude of that problem. That's true. And I'm really hopeful that this insightful session will definitely give them, more idea about this mental well-being. On behalf of our entire team, I'm really very, very thankful for taking out your time and sharing your insightful thought on this very, very important subject. I'm sure my students and all the participants will gain a lot on this important topic. Again, my sincere thanks to both the speakers, and we will certainly would love to have you again on our, board, on our webinars, so that our student can be benefited more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Live a problem-free life more better.
Yes.